Welcome to the Trophy Room, Nebraska. On today's video, I wanted to go through current recruiting classes for 2026 and upcoming in 2027. During this video, I'll talk about some general takeaways from both classes and go over a few of the top recruits. In future videos, I hope to do actual reactions to highlights, tape of recruits, specifically commits. Unless I get to the point where I'm like, this is a guy we gotta watch, let's watch his tape. But first, let's go ahead and start with the 2026 recruiting class. First off, this class is going to be a super small group. I know it's been said for a while now, even by Matt Rule, that this class will be small. If you look at it, our team, I think, is the youngest team in the Big Ten, I believe. I'll make sure to double check that before going forward. But I'm pretty sure we're the youngest team in the Big Ten. We have like 3/4 of our team as underclassmen, freshman, sophomore, redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore. And that's good. So with the roster limits in play, it's going to be a smaller class. And it's okay that we are currently ranked last in the Big Ten for our class. What matters is the quality that we're getting from those players. Sure, not necessarily 5 stars. That's okay. But we do have some good guys coming through, like Danny Odom, Claude Mpuma, Nayland Scott, Larry Miles, Luke Sorensen, a running back in Jamal Rule, which is good. I think we need some more running backs. And then not to mention Dayton Raiola coming through. So pretty good class so far. Again, it's small, but we don't want to be in the position of having to reload every single year if we're going to be a development team. That's where we're at with it. The second takeaway I have from this class, and this is the thing that's most enlightening personally to me, is we have no defensive linemen on this class at all, even in the notable offers to watch. So we have 11 commits so far, 4 notable offers to watch, and they are Jordan Taylor, a running back, 2 wide receivers, Devon Bonwell-Whitty, and Deshaun Prince, and then a linebacker, John Michael Fountain. Where's the defensive line? That's the first question I have in my brain. Based on the way that we've seen them perform this year, not looking too strong. I'm not going to say they're terrible or anything like that, but it's not what it was last year. So they probably know a few things that we don't. That's why they're head coach. That's why he's the head coach. That's why they are on the coaching staff. They know things that we don't, things they see in practice, things that they see as potential items, how these players are working, improving, all of that kind of stuff every week. And we don't see that. We just see what happens on Saturdays and then what we hear in the media. So that's just kind of an item to watch. There must be something good that they see there. Or if there isn't, they're more than happy and comfortable to load up in the transfer portal. If for any reason an exodus happens or it's like, wow, these guys they're not what we thought they were. This is a huge, heavy offensive class. That's another thing to note. As we continue to build for the future, we really have to make sure we have a strong emphasis on the offense. We can't let the defense go away, so that's where that still has some worries with no defensive linemen in the recruiting class. But with Dylan, if things go as planned, last year being his next year, or his next year being his last year, if everything goes perfectly, he could stay for another year. I could see that happening. But I think the goal is he does his 3 years. He's ready for the pros. He goes to the pros. He does his thing. And then hopefully TJ Lateef stays, takes over, goes from there. That to me would be the best thing for this team. And in order to do that, in order to keep these guys coming in, we gotta have pieces that we're developing and that are really good, including our offensive tackle. Like I said, Claude Mpuma. We've seen some struggles with our offensive line. We need to keep bringing guys in, really, no matter what. We got to make it competitive there. Yeah, like I said before, I feel like the coaching staff is happy with the defense. Part of me is kind of concerned with that, just based on the lack of defensive offers at the end of the day that are available, and then also the lack of recruits. We only have 1 linebacker and a DB, Danny Odom, in the entire class. So we have 2 defensive players out of the 11 commits in this class, which to me is kind of crazy. But our defense is very, very young, but they're doing pretty decent for being freshmen and sophomores, really only. Outside of that, let's talk about 2027. Let's move forward a little bit. This will be probably where I talk a little bit more during this video. Right now we have 4 commits in this class. Torrey Pittman, 5-star. He's listed as a 4-star online, but I think he's like the 26th ranked recruit in the class. That's not a 4-star, that's a 5-star, so I don't know why he's labeled as a 4-star. He's a 5-star. So Torrey Pittman, he's more of a DB, but also considered an athlete. He is a guy that is just super athletic and really strong, really good. He goes to Omaha Central, I believe, which is nice to see a 5-star out of Omaha. So next guy, Trey Taylor, we all know about that guy. He's doing lots of recruiting for us to help bring more people along. He seems really, really good based on things that I've heard, things that I've seen, but I'll dive in a little bit deeper on him later on. And then we have Jabari Watkins Jr. He is the most recent commit. Just about a week ago, if not sooner, it was just Torrey Pittman, Trey Taylor, and Matt Erickson, who is an offensive tackle, offensive lineman. And then we just recently got Jabari Watkins, who is a 4-star, I believe. He might be a 3-star. I need to go double check, but I believe he's a 4-star. And then, of course, Matt Erickson, like I mentioned. It's good to see that we're still bringing in offensive linemen. I really need to dive into the tape on these guys instead of just listening to what's going on. But it's still nice to get a feel for the name and the position group that we are going after. Some big offers to watch. I actually have 17 of them down. I'm not going to run through all of them. Down in the description below, I'm actually going to link a Google Sheets that I have. Yes, you could go on to, On3 or 24/7 or really any site and look at who's offered who. Personally, I use On3, and what I did to build this spreadsheet is there's a list of commits, and then it shows how many of each position we have committed, and then below that there's a list of offers, and I call them notable offers to watch. So if you go on On3, we have tons and tons of offers out there for scholarships. Some of these guys have already committed other places. Some of them don't really have us on their board right now, or at least not in the top percentile. So those I don't really focus on. I focus on guys where we're in there. Even if it's not a high percentage, but if we're in there and we're being we're notable, that's what I focus on. So from these 17, some big ones to watch. Ahmad Hudson, he's a tight end, I think from Louisiana, and that is a huge one. He's the number 1 recruit in Louisiana. He's the number 1 tight end in the country, and I think he's the 10th best player in the state right now as far as rankings go. Not state, sorry. 10th best player in the nation. My bad. As far as rankings go. If we can pull a guy like that, that is humongous. Also considering we have Luke Sorensen in the last class, but we want to get a guy that's like a 5-star. We need to start getting more 5 stars, 4 stars, instead of a lot of 3 stars. 3 stars are good. They're a place that actually I think there are more of them, but there's a higher percentage of them getting drafted and developing to be a really, really good player versus a 5-star or a 4-star, usually. So that's one thing you do kind of have to watch for. It's not all about the star ratings. It is also about how they develop, what's their mindset. But we want to get these guys that are top guys to come in here and really compete. So Ahmad Hudson is one of my top ones. And then, of course, Kennedy Brown. He's the number 1 player in the country. If we're able to pull Kennedy Brown, that would be amazing. That's it. That would be amazing if we're able to pull the number 1 player in the country, who is also an offensive tackle. Based on how our line is doing, I guarantee you next year, or 2 years from now, if we get him, he will start right away. I can basically guarantee it. That's just how it will go. Gunnar Gatula will probably be, at that point, graduated. Prohaska is definitely not going to be here. and I doubt Elijah Pritchett will be here. I think he's a junior, maybe a senior. So it'll be heavy competition for that line group, but that is exactly what we want. At least I would hope he starts right away. I can't say he will, but I at least would hope. A few notable guys. We actually have a lot on the defensive line and a lot of defensive backs. I think it's really funny just how defensive backs work. I'm going to make a little correlation to a video game here, so follow along with me if you can. But defensive backs are a dime a dozen. It's nice to get a 5-star, it's nice to get a 4-star, but we have already taken the approach of having, 20 or 30 defensive backs on our team before we went into this season, and you just kind of shimmy things down from there and make cuts because it's like wide receivers and defensive backs. I don't know. There's so many of them across the country, and they're all have a lot of potential in most ways and capacities. Offensive line, I feel like, is a little bit different. You're looking for a very specific thing, whereas defensive backs, it's like, how fast are you? Can we teach you? Do you have the right mentality? That's really about it. If you're a 5-star, hey, great. If you're a 4-star, hey, great. If you're a 3-star, hey, great. If you're a 2-star, that's where it's like, okay, maybe not. So really anything 3-star and above for me on defensive back is about the same. And then defensive line, I think we only had 3 stars here. I don't think we have any 4 stars that we've offered, or 5 stars. But, Matt Rule has a little bit of a history in developing players, especially like Hassan Reddick. He's a guy that was 0 stars, and he was a first-round draft pick. And Rule really helped with coaching him, getting him developed up. Of course, other guys that he coached with also developed him, but it's still the system under Matt Rule. He is more of a developmental guy. It's not a quick fix, go get a guy in a transfer portal. We will do that if we need to, but still it's going to be, hey, can we develop you into what you could be or what you can be? So I'm not too worried about defensive line guys not being 4 or 5 stars. We really just need guys that are dogs that get after it and don't settle for anything less. So, really quick, just going to touch on these takeaways. I kind of touched on them while going through the class, but this is looking like one of the best classes we could have in a very, very, very long time if we continue momentum. We have the number 1 recruit in the nation on our board, and we're in the race for him, not just, Nebraska's 9 out of 10. It's like, no, we're in the top 3 for him versus Tennessee. That's really good. That's where we want to be. Same with Ahmad Hudson. We got Trey Taylor already. We already got Torrey Pittman. Those are guys that have potential to be 5 stars. Kylon Haney's another one as a running back that it's good to look after and look on. But like I was saying before in the other class, 2026, if Dylan goes pro after 2026, this will be a huge year that we really have to make a statement on. Because I know if things go the way that we want them to, or at least how we think that they could go, we're going to finish out this year strong. We're going to have a really, really good next year. Dylan's going to go to the pros in the offseason. And the year after that, it's going to be, well, what are the Huskers going to do now? They're probably going to suck, is what the media is going to say. The general media. Pundits that actually know stuff, why can't I? Joel Klatt. I feel like he'll still be high on us. I feel like he actually knows football a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean he knows football a lot versus other guys in the media that are just like, what are you talking about, man? I don't even know if you're watching the games. But yeah. So we currently have our first 5-star commit since Dylan Raiola, and we already have our quarterback early on, which is a great sign as long as, if we can pull 2 more 5-stars this round, hopefully Kennedy Brown, hopefully also Ahmad Hudson, so focus more on that offense. That's going to be great because we're going to need that backup to come through and really develop and help our offense. Defense, we got to hope on the development right The other two 5-stars on the board are Juju Johnson and Duve Williams. Those are defensive backs. And like I was talking before, they're a dime a dozen. I'm not too worried. I would love to get them. You know, if we get them instead of Kennedy Brown and instead of Ahmad Hudson, I'm not going to be mad. I'm still going to be happy we got 5 stars, but I would be more happy if we got Kennedy Brown and Ahmad Hudson and then 2, 3, or 4-star DBs instead of the 5. I'd be the most happy if we got all of them, but let's not put all of our eggs in the 5-star basket now. Like I said earlier too, this class does have a larger focus on our defensive line, which does kind of give me some relief seeing how the team has played recently, with that defensive line kind of being a rough spot. Now, again, they are very young and they have to develop, but this shows that they also know that in 2 years, that's a long time from now. From how I'm understanding our coaching staff with how they're using recruiting right now, our defensive line this year is a development year. We're not bad, we're not great, we're okay to good. It depends on who we're playing. Next year, we should be in the good, great category, mostly leaning into the great category. Now, some of those guys are going to leave, transfer portal and draft, more than likely. So like Williams Noeri, if he pops off next year, or even the end of this year into next year, he could be a guy that you could see on a draft board because of his athleticism, because of his metrics, because of all of those things. Same with the guy like Keona Davis. Huge guy. And he has the body built for it. He's not some, big fat 350-pound lineman that's just a bowling ball or a bowler that sits there. He's athletic. I know there's been mentions of him looking kind of like Ndamukong Suh. If he keeps developing and at the end of the year kind of starts to pop off a little bit and then next year explodes, he's another guy I could see getting drafted, because I don't believe that, for 2027, I don't believe right now he's a freshman. I think he's either a redshirt freshman or a sophomore. So I could see guys getting drafted early because they want to go to the NFL, they want to go to the pros. That is what Matt Rhule has talked about. It's not the NIL, it's the NFL. That should be your goal, not get as much money now. It should be get to the NFL to have a career. Get your NIL money now, but your goal shouldn't be, well, let's just go to, this school because they're paying me more money, and then you go there and it's the worst thing ever. So, but yeah, that is where we are at for our 2026 and 2027 recruiting classes. Overall, I feel like the outlook is pretty good. Next time I do a recruiting video, I would like to dive in a little bit more to certain recruits, react to some of their highlights, talk about them more in depth in their skill sets, and learn a little bit more about them instead of this just general state of the union, state of the team, state of the recruiting classes address. But it's good to kind of get a good gauge on where we're at before I start diving into these deeper, so we can talk about them together. Now, again, like I said, below, there will be some notes in there, some items in the description. There will be a link to a Google Sheets that I have. Hopefully no one can hack me. I did make it so it's a view only, but please don't hack me and screw everything over. I know saying that's probably asking you to hack me. I'm not. Please don't. I'm just trying to have fun and spend productive time doing something cool. And, as always, thank you for watching. I will see you later this week to preview the Michigan game, and then hopefully get a reaction after on Sunday or Monday. Thank you for watching.